The Compleat Housewife, or Accomplished Gentlewoman's Companion is a cookery book written by Eliza Smith and first published in London in 1727. It became extremely popular, running through 18 editions in 50 years. It was the first cookery book to be published in the 13 colonies of America. It was printed in Williamsburg, Virginia, in 1742. It contained the first published recipe for catsup, and appears to be the earliest source for bread and butter pudding. The book includes recipes not only for foods but for wines, cordial waters, medicines and salves. The title page describes the Compleat Housewife as a collection of several hundred of the most approved receipts, in cookery, pastry, confectionery, preserving, pickles, cakes, creams, jellies, made wines, cordials, and also bills of fare for every month of the year. To which is added, a collection of nearly 200 family receipts of medicines, viz. drinks, syrups, salves, ointments, and many other things of sovereign and approved efficacy in most distempers, pains, aches, wounds, sores, etc. never before made public in these parts, fit either for private families, or such public-spirited gentlewomen as would be beneficent to their poor neighbors. The book was the first to publish a recipe for catsup. It included mushrooms, anchovies and horseradish. The title The Compleat Housewife may owe something to Gervase Markham's 1615 The English Housewife. Little is known of Smith beyond what she writes of herself in the preface. She spent her life working as a cook or housekeeper in wealthy households, and unlike Elizabeth Raffald, who left service to run her own shop, continued in that profession despite the success of her book. It is possible that she worked at Beaulieu Abbey, Hampshire. She is critical of cookery books written by men who conceal their secrets, preventing readers from using their recipes successfully. The preface contains the following passage: "It being grown as fashionable for a book now to appear in public without a preface, as for a lady to appear at a ball without a hoop petticoat, I shall conform to the custom for fashion's sake and not through any necessity." The subject being both common and universal, needs no argument to introduce it, and being so necessary for the gratification of the appetite, stands in need of no encomiums to allure persons to the practice of it, since there are but a few nowadays who love not good eating and drinking. The passage was lightly adapted from an earlier book with a similar title, John Knott's The Cook's and Confectioner's Dictionary, or The Accomplished Housewife's Companion, 1723, which declared he had added an introduction because fashion had made it as odd for a book to be printed without one as for a man to be seen in church without a neckcloth or a lady without a hoop petticoat. Contents the following refer to the 9th edition, 1739. Preface: A bill of fare for every season of the year. Cookery, and c. Page 1. Soups, meats, pies, pickles, fish, hams, sausages, cheese. All sorts of pickles. Page 78. All sorts of puddings. Page 100. All sorts of pastry. Page 122. All sorts of cakes. Page 144. Creams and jellies. Page 160. Preserves, conserves, and syrups. Page 173. All sorts of made wines. Page 213. All sorts of cordial waters. Page 232. Medicines and salves. Page 272. Approach: Smith offers no general advice, either at the start of the book or at the start of chapters. Each chapter consists entirely of recipes. There are no lists of ingredients, these simply being mentioned as needed in the recipes. Most recipes do not mention either oven temperature or cooking time, though for example, to candy orange flowers instructs, set your glasses in a stove with a moderate heat, and to stew a rump of beef states, this requires 6 or 7 hours stewing. The recipes are predominantly English, but dishes include French and other foreign names, and imported ingredients such as spices. Recipes are described tersely, and do not generally spell out basic techniques such as how to make pastry. The recipe for a battaglia pie does not mention pastry at all, though it is called for with the instruction to close the pie. A battaglia pie: take 4 small chickens, 4 squab pigeons, 4 sucking rabbits, cut them in pieces, season them with savory spice, and lay them in the pie, with 4 sweetbreads sliced, and as many sheep's tongues, 2 shivered palates, 2 pair of lamb stones, 20 or 30 coxcombs, with savory balls and oysters. Lay on butter, and close the pie. A leer. However, a few frequently used components of dishes are described, such as a leer for savory peas, and A ragout for made dishes. The leer is a thickened sauce made with claret, gravy, oyster liquor, anchovies, herbs, onion and butter. The ragout contains similar ingredients, with the addition of sliced meats and mushrooms. The recipe ends with, "Use it when called for," such as in the Batalha pie. Recipes are provided for homemade medicines and remedies such as to promote breeding, for women wanting to become pregnant. The recipe calls for a spoonful of stinking orris syrup to be taken night and morning, and for good ale to be boiled with the piths of 3 ox backs, half a handful of clary, a handful of nep or cat boss, dates, raisins, and nutmegs. The woman drinking this mixture at your going to bed is enjoined. As long as it lasts, accompany not with your husband. Publication. Britain. The book was first published in 1727 and ran through 18 editions by 1773. The first 4 editions were published under the byline E. S. But Smith did reveal she was a woman constantly employed in fashionable and noble families for the space of 30 years and upwards. The 5th edition of 1732 gave the author's name as E. Smith. The bibliographer William Carew Hazlitt recorded that the 7th edition included near 50 receipts being communicated just before the author's death. America. The Compleat Housewife was the first cookery book to be published in America, when William Parkes, an ambitious and enterprising printer, originally from Shropshire, printed it in Williamsburg, Virginia in 1742. His version of The Compleat Housewife, a cookery book of ambitious scope, was based on the 5th London edition of 1732, altered to suit American taste, and without recipes, the ingredients or materials for which are not to be had in this country. Copies of the 1742 edition have become very rare, but, happily, one copy has returned to the city of its origin, and is in the Library of Colonial Williamsburg, Incorporated. Reception in 1893. The bibliographer William Carew Hazlitt allocated 54 pages of his History of Cookery books to The Compleat Housewife, commenting that the highly curious contents of E. Smith may be securely taken to exhibit the state of knowledge in England upon this subject in the last quarter of the 17th and the first quarter of the 18th century. Christine Mitchell, reviewing the Chawton House reprint in 2010 for the Jane Austen Society of North America, wrote that Eliza Smith's book met the growing need for a text to assist women with their task of maintaining a household. She quotes Elizabeth Wallace's introduction as saying that it gives modern readers reason to appreciate having a refrigerator and a global food system that brings us out of season produce. Yet, she observes, the English housewife had many varieties of vegetables, 30 kinds of seafood and 35 kinds of poultry, including hares and rabbits. She notes that the book also describes home remedies, the housewife having to function as chef, doctor, pharmacist, exterminator, chemist, laundress, and all-around handy woman, reflecting that the recipes would probably never be used today, and the medicines are useless. The book remains invaluable for researchers, gives readers a glimpse into the world of Jane Austen and her contemporaries, and richly documents 18th-century English life. Patrick Spedding, in script and print, notes that the book was very popular in the 18th century, with 20 London editions in 50 years. However, he roundly criticizes the 1983 Arlen House facsimile reprint of the 16th edition for deliberately omitting recipes including to promote breeding, suggesting this was because the publisher was concerned they might be harmful. The historian Sandra Sherman comments that The Compleat Housewife is the first female-authored blockbuster. The bibliographer Genevieve Yost comments that E. Smith's popularity in 18th-century England was challenged perhaps most seriously by Hannah Glass, who admittedly is better remembered today, adding at once that Glass is recalled mainly for the controversy over whether she actually existed, and for the recipe that people supposed started with "first catch your hare." Yost suggests that the book's popularity in the colonies was probably increased by the publication of an American edition. She concludes that the quantities and ingredients render many of the recipes unsuitable to the modern kitchen, but these old cookbooks are increasing in value and interest to libraries, bibliophiles, and collectors, who find in them a truly revealing and fascinating glimpse of the past. One and the spring 2006 issue of Prairie Schooner, Sarah Kennedy published a poem called The Compleat Housewife, 1727, with a gloss, the first popular cookbook published in Great Britain. The poem begins, learning to thigh a pigeon or tame a crabwa now within any woman's grasp, even a maid could be taught to carve. Editions First edition, London, J. Pemberton, 1727. Second edition, London, J. Pemberton, 1728. Third edition, London, J. Pemberton, 1729. Corrected and improved. Fourth edition, London, J. Pemberton, 1730. Corrected and improved. Fifth edition, London, J. Pemberton, 1732. With very large editions, reprinted Williamsburg, B.A., W. Parks, 1742.6 th edition, London, J. Pemberton, 1734. With very large editions. 7th edition, London, J. and J. Pemberton, 1736. With very large editions. 8th edition, London, J. and J. Pemberton, 1737. 9th edition, London, 1739. J. and J. Pemberton, 1739. With very large editions. Another copy 10th edition, London, J. and H. Pemberton, 1741. With very large editions. 11th edition, London, J. and H. Pemberton, 1742. With very large editions. 12th edition, London, J. and J. Pemberton, 1744. With very large editions. 13th edition, London, H. Pemberton, 1746. With very large editions, reprinted 1747.14 th edition, London, R. Ware and others, 1750. Prefixed with directions for marketing. 15th edition, London, R. Ware and others, 1753. With additions, London, Literary Services and Production, 1968, 1973. London, Studio Editions, 1994. With introduction by E. K. Wallace. Chawton House Library, 2009.16 th edition, London, 17__. With additions. 17th edition, London, 17__, 18th edition, London, 1773. Notes. References.